Hey everybody, this is Six. I just got home from 2 months of hell. Um, and I'll be talking about that in multiple vlogs. But originally I started this vlog last night when I got home, a few hours after we got home. I was exhausted, but there were so many thoughts going through my mind. I knew I wasn't going to be able to sleep, so I decided to get them out and make a vlog. Unfortunately, those thoughts came out as about 2 straight hours of endless blather as I jumped from tangent to tangent. So I decided to remake it the day later. So even though the video was actually shot last night for day 6 of my parole. Day 5, but I'm technically in day 6 right now. So also about this video, my girlfriend had this glass already laid out and set up when I got home. She borrowed this really thick, like, I don't know where it was from, but it's really thick glass. You can stand on it, and I was standing on it earlier, but you could see the ceiling, the crappy ceiling in my basement. I just decided I didn't like the aesthetics of it, so I'm actually sitting with my feet on it, with a sheet over it, so you can't really see the crappy ceiling. And also you can see the rest of my body, and I don't want to reveal my identity, so anyway, so this is basically how it is when you're standing on a footprint authentication panel in the prison. I didn't stand on a bunch of those because they didn't have them in the old building where the punishment cells are located, in the basement, the bottom level of the basement. But when I was taken from my punishment cell up the stairwell of pain, I'll tell you more about that, across the parking structure to a security door that entered the main building. That first security door had a footprint authentication panel, and I was escorted to that panel by a guard from the punishment cell. And then I was on my own from there. That's why I love the footprint authentication panels, for that reason alone, because guards are scary in the prison, especially in the punishment cells. So once I was in the main building, I was on my own, and it was all thanks to these footprint authentication panels, because I don't have to be escorted. When I stand on the panel on the inside of that security door, inside the main building, a screen is mounted to the wall, and it would show a map with the line showing where I have to put my feet next on the next panel. And then as long as I get there within the time frame that's allowed and my feet are on it, then there's no problem. I can basically navigate the prison by myself without, guard escort in the main building. Of course, they don't have them in the punishment cells or the old building. So I only really was able to use them when I was let out of my cell to make my weekly phone call to my girlfriend, because that holding cell where the phone is in the main building. But so that's that's why I'm doing this glass panel thing. I'm not sure if I like it. I mean, I like it in some ways, but other ways it doesn't really show the shackles I'm wearing, which I kind of wanted to show off. These new permanent shackles they have on me are pretty awesome. I actually love them. There's some good and bad about them, but as a whole, they're really good. But before I get into a tangent, I'm going to try to make a daily vlog until I have to go back to prison, and I am going to have to go back to prison. I'm on parole. Well, the administration told me that I have to call a furlough because I'm technically not legally allowed to be on parole. There's no stipulations in parole for me to be out on parole. So I'm technically on furlough, and that's why I'm still permanently shackled, and why I have to remain barefoot, and why I have to be chained. My ankle is chained, as you see here, just like it was before, because I'm an active prisoner on leave, technically. Prisoners who are paroled from Facility 5, they're not shackled. They don't have to stay barefoot, and they obviously they clearly don't need to be chained up at home, and they wear a shackle locked around their ankle with GPS tracking and all that stuff. I didn't have to wear the GPS tracker because I'm technically not on parole. So anyway, out of the way there. So first I wanted to start by saying that you have no idea what it's like being back home. You take so much for granted and when you lose all of it and you're literally chained naked in a prison cell for a long time. I was in the naked and chained in the punishment cells for 5 straight weeks. Prior to that, I was wearing the clothes that I was brought to prison in, a t-shirt, a white t-shirt and jeans with bare feet. When I arrived at the administration building, and I was kept in a tiny cell, 4 foot by 4 foot. It was a holding cell for an entire week. But I'll get into more detail that I actually prefer the holding cell over the punishment cells that I was kept in. There's good and bad about both, but there's mostly good about the holding cells. But anyway, so I was kept there for a week once I arrived. So I was in prison for 6 weeks total. And then the 2 weeks prior to that, I was on the road, being transported by a guy named James, where my hands and feet were double shackled with a chain between my wrists and my ankles, dragged barefoot through ice and snow, in and out of truck stops and gas stations, and starved and tortured the entire fucking way. Sorry, it was just the travel to the prison was the worst. I was literally on the road for 14 days, and for 5 of those days I was with another prisoner because he decided to take a detour and pick up another prisoner along the way. Not one that was going to Facility 5, and he was going to like another jail. But anyway, I don't want to digress in this, so let's I apologize if I get off topic. So back to the point, when you're basically chained up in a bare concrete cell for 5 straight weeks, and you go through all the stuff that I went through in the past 2 months, everything in normal life becomes a massive luxury. When you're in prison, there are no luxuries. You just have to, take what they give you and make the best of it. And then when you get out, I mean, just the most minor things make a huge difference. So just to say, if you're discontent with your life, spend 5 weeks in a punishment cell, chained up, for 5 straight weeks in a bare concrete cell. And then when you get out, you will think your life is way better. Believe me. So before I start the vlog with my arrest and transport to prison, I think I'm going to make this vlog. I was doing the arrest one last night. I think that's why it went so long. But anyway, I think I'm going to do this vlog about my return from prison. Let's get that one out of the way. And then when I start the daily vlog for my chronological backstory, I guess you'd call it, then I can end with my last days in the consolidated confinement cells at Facility 5. I mean, it's not like I'm going to have room or, time in one vlog to tell you everything. This is going to have to be spread out over many vlogs. And I'll be going to the painful details of every day of my life in the punishment cells. So there'll be plenty for that. So let's start here. It was May 6th, an early morning Monday, really early. The sun wasn't up yet at that point. There's no windows there, but I know that it was really early, so I assumed that the sun wasn't up because I hadn't seen the sun for 6 weeks at that point. When they opened the cell door and unlocked the padlocks that secured my chains that connected me to the other prisoners, I don't know why they were doing this. The first time I was in consolidated confinement, we weren't chained together. But the last 8 days that I was in consolidated confinement, they had our feet chained together. So, and I was in the middle at this time. That my left ankle was chained to the right ankle of the prisoner on my left, and my right ankle was chained to the left ankle to the prisoner on my right. I don't know if this was like some kind of security measure. I had gotten in a fight the first time I was put in consolidated confinement, which landed me in the dungeon. But maybe that's why they had us chained up. I don't know. But it was really uncomfortable being chained to 2 other prisoners in a really confining space like that for 8 straight days. I mean, they let me out once for a shower and a phone call, my last phone call to my girlfriend, before she picked me up, obviously. But I was in that cell for 8 days. Anyway, like I said, I'll get into that later. But my excitement level at that point was off the scale because I knew they were coming to let me out and that I wouldn't have to go back to that cell, probably for a long time, hopefully. Well, kind of mixed feelings about that because I still really badly want to get into the regular cells, and the only way back to the regular cells is probably about a month back in the punishment cells before they move me into the regular cell. So kind of mixed feelings. I'm glad I'm out of the punishment cells. I'm glad I don't have to spend months and months in the punishment cells. But the sooner they call me and have me arrested and brought back to the prison, the happier I'll be, because I very much want to get into a regular cell now. I actually saw the regular cells on the prison orientation video, but I actually spent about 12 hours in a luxury cell at the prison, and it's basically they basically take a regular cell and they just like deck it out with technology and stuff. It's really cool. I love technology, and I really want a luxury cell, but there's no way I can afford a luxury cell. But after that, and after seeing the regular cells in the orientation video, I really, really want badly to get into a regular cell now, and sooner the better. Even though it'll mean that I'll be free, for a shorter period of time. If they literally called me tomorrow, I'd be really excited to get back to the prison, just so I can get into that regular cell. So after they unchained me from the other two prisoners, they chained them together and locked the door, and then they took me to processing. I was still naked. I've been naked at this point, wearing only my the shackles you see I'm wearing now. They're permanent, and the punishment restraints that are basically transport restraints, ankles and wrists with a chain connecting your hands to your feet. But there was about 13 inches of chain between my wrists, luckily, and the shackles that they had me in, they were like the rounded steel that were bolted on, similar to the shackles I was used to wearing for the past year before I was arrested. But they also had ones for my wrist as well. Wrists, they were bolted on as well. So, and those were left on the entire 5 weeks. Not once were they taken off. Luckily, when I got to processing, they finally took them off. I mean, the reason for the naked and keeping prisoners naked is because of those restraints. The security guards apparently are making it sound like it's a big security risk, having to unshackle prisoners' wrists to have them put on the paper uniform that all the prisoners are supposed to be wearing in the punishment cells, because they have to unshackle your wrists. There's no way you can put on pants and a shirt, paper or otherwise, with your hands chained to your feet. It's just impossible. So they have to unshackle your hands. They don't have to unshackle your feet, which is why they have permanent shackles anyway. I've shown how to remove and take off pants, regular leggings before, and paper is even easier. So that's the reason why they're really pushing for keeping prisoners naked in the punishment cells. And they've been given permission to keep 50% of the prison population in the punishment cells naked. And at first I thought they were going to swap out, I'd be naked the first week, and then the next week I would have a paper uniform, and then the week after that I might be naked. But no, they're selectively choosing prisoners that will remain naked the entire time they're in there, and I was one of those prisoners. So I was really excited to get into a paper uniform, and that's what they were going to do in processing. They unshackled my hands and my feet from the punishment shackles. I was still wearing the permanent ones. Around my ankles. They gave me the paper uniform, and I put it on. It's so thin, it was really easy to slip under my shackles, even though these shackles that I'm wearing are oval shaped, and they actually fit my ankles pretty snug, which I ran into a problem later with regular leggings. But the only problem with the paper leggings was my ankles were getting a little sweaty, because the shackles I'm wearing are about 2 inches wide, and they kind of smother my ankles, and it was kind of sticky, I don't know, tacky, but it wasn't a problem. I got the paper pants on and the paper shirt, and then they put me back in handcuffs. This time they had a belly chain around my belly. They told me to raise my arms, and the shirt was really short, so my belly was showing, and they wrapped the chain around my belly, and it was cold. The chain was super cold. I don't know if they put it in the freezer or just freaking It was startling. It was that cold around my waist. And they tightened it and padlocked it, and then they locked my wrists into the handcuffs that were hanging at my sides. And then they made me sign all the papers, which I was thinking, why didn't you have me sign all these papers before you handcuffed my hands to my waist, you know? They just do things backwards there sometimes. It's really annoying. I mean, it's not a big deal. My signature's a scribble anyway, so I can scribble just as easy with my hand, you know, my wrist chained to my side anyway. I just had to turn and kind of pull the chain up my belly a little bit to reach it on the counter. But it was doable. So after scribbling the marks on, you know, all the signing part about my release and everything, they chained me to a bench. This is common. They'll sit you on a metal bench, and the metal bench has these metal plates with a floor bolt thing, and they padlock the center link. You can see the chain in my in this video. That center link is their favorite thing. To be honest, wherever they want to put you, that gets padlocked to a floor bolt. And so I'm chained to the bench, and I'm waiting. And this is how it is in prison. It's always about waiting. I'm there for probably, it wasn't too bad actually. It's probably about 30 minutes, and I was just kind of just hanging out. My wrists were showing marks from the shackles they had on me for 5 weeks, and I noticed that, you know, the chain had left marks on my ankles from being chained to the other prisoners, because they just wrapped a chain around both my ankles and padlocked it, similar to the way I'm wearing this chain now. But it was on my bare ankle instead of my ankle, instead of the ankle cuff of my leggings, since I didn't have leggings anyway. I'm going off on a tangent again. So I had marks around my ankles from that after they unchained me, and they finally came and got me. And to be honest, I was really disappointed with the paper shirt, or the paper uniform in general at that point. The pants, I kind of were fine, but the shirt, it's made out of this, like, it's like plastic paper, so it has no breathability. There's, like, no air that gets through, so it makes you feel kind of gross, you know? It's like you're kind of sweaty kind of feeling around, I mean, like my shirt mostly. I kind of liked the way the pants felt against my junk, and that was the best part. I mean, if they would have just given me paper pants instead of keeping me naked, I probably would have been a lot happier, because I had to sit on filthy, dirty, filthy, damp concrete floors the entire time I was in the punishment cells. And when you're naked, that means your bare ass and your junk are sitting in that the whole time. So for that alone, it would have been nice to have paper. But otherwise, I mean, it's paper. It's not gonna make me any warmer. And it really, the shirt kind of made me feel gross. I don't know. Maybe it's because I haven't showered in a few days at this point. But whatever. So they finally take me, and they make me stand on this giant black ink pad, because they have to footprint you. Every signature you do in the prison has to be accompanied by both footprints on the back of every one of the page that you initialed or signed. I think my girlfriend posted a picture of that on my blog, shackledbarefeet.wordpress.com. But anyway, so I had to footprint the back of all the sheets that I just signed, the release forms and all that crap. And then they took that away, and they and now, you know, every step I make, I'm leaving black footprints on the polished white, like commercial tile that they have there. But this area, they footprint all the prisoners, and this is the signing area, whatever. So it wasn't that big of a deal, because there were tons of footprints left by the previous prisoners before me. So that's kind of another common thing. Whenever you sign, they don't clean the floors there. You just add your footprints to the ones in that area. And then it was really short after that. After they footprinted me, they took me back out through the security door into the parking structure, and they put me in an SUV. I was really happy, because the trip to the prison from the administration building was absolute torture. I'm not going to go into detail with it in this one, but they put me in an SUV, and this is the SUV. If you're a voluntary prisoner, this is how you're transported to and from the prison, is in these SUVs. You don't pack you in a cage with 9 other prisoners in the back of a windowless van, like they do involuntary prisoners, which I am technically now because I was put in as a under standby, which put me as an involuntary prisoner. But if you are a voluntary prisoner, don't get too excited because the SUV isn't that much more comfortable. The seat back there, it's like a long seat, and it's made out of this hard black plastic. And the floor is metal. It's like that diamond plated, I think is what they called, metal. And there's a floor bolt there. So they when I got in, they locked the center ring from my ankle shackles to the floor bolt. So I was chained to the floor. And right away, it's cramped back there. I mean, I guess they want to give the maximum amount of leg room for the driver, and if there's a passenger in the front seat, because there's this metal wall between you and the driver, so you can't see anything in front of you, and it is back so far that my knees were like I couldn't sit forward because my knees were like pressing into that. So it's really kind of claustrophobic. I had to kind of turn to my side the whole frickin' drive, which is 7 hours. It's 7-hour drive from the prison to the administration building. So I'm back there. I'm wearing my permanent shackles, chained to the floor, and my hands are handcuffed at my sides with the belly chain. And they close the door, and the dome light in there, like it does one of those things where it dims and then goes out. And when it went out, I was in pitch black. It was completely dark in there. The windows are all blacked out back there. And so now I'm chained to the floor, and the sound of the chains are really loud against metal too. So there's that. Really loud in a confined space. So every move, I mean, it's like this, but like 10 times louder, because it's on metal. So I heard, I was in there for I don't know, maybe 10 minutes in the dark, but 10 minutes chained in a confined space in complete darkness seems like a lot longer. Feels like a lot longer. So anyway, the driver came. I'd never met the driver until I actually reached the administration building, but he got in, and once he started the car, the SUV, the light came back on. There was a different light, like a floor lighting. It's like similar, kind of like the cage that was in the van. There was floor lighting that came on after they started the van, but for a moment there we were in the dark as well in that cage. And then there's this wall-mounted display that I really wanted to break by the time I got to administration building. It plays on loop the prisoner orientation video, and just like walks you through on how the footprint authentication panels work, how prisoner etiquette, and all this crap. And seriously, I was dreaming the dialogue from that video for days afterwards. If my hands weren't chained to my sides at that point, I probably would have busted that stupid screen. 7 hours of that. And the video is only like 30 minutes long, so I had to listen to it like 14 or 15 times. But anyway, so 7-hour drive, and it's, like I said, it's not comfortable back there. I'm on a hard plastic seat. I mean, sitting on this plastic paper shit. I mean, my ass itches. It's not a comfortable ride. I get a little car sick too. They gave us actual motion sickness pills before they put us in the cage on the van to the prison, because it's like 100 times worse. But they didn't give me any medication on this one, so I was feeling a little sicky by the time I got to the administration building. I mean, I wasn't gonna throw up or anything, but I didn't feel well. So they let me out. They unlocked the chain from the floor, and I got out, and I stepped out onto the concrete in the underground parking structure, the administration building. They put me in the service elevator, the same way I came from when they were taking me to the prison originally, 6 or 5 weeks earlier than that. I went down the long hallway, the service hallway, to the back area of the administration building. And they took me to a part of the administration building that I hadn't seen yet, which is the shower stalls. The showers there, they didn't give me a shower when I first came in, and I really needed one after 14 days on the road with no shower. I was in the holding cell there without a shower for another week, and I only showered when I was after I was processed at the prison. So anyway, I don't know why they didn't just give me a shower when I got there, but I did get a shower this time. So it took me to the shower rooms, and there's basically four stalls, shower stalls. They're stainless steel interior, and the floor. This is the best part: is the floor is stainless steel. The showers that I took at the prison was in a shower cell in the lower level, in the same level that the punishment cells were, and it had metal grate floors. And they locked me in this cage and turn on freezing cold water. They hit a button on the wall that started the shower, and for like 2 minutes, there was freezing cold water, and you're locked in a cage, so you can't get away from it. You just have to endure freezing cold water for 2 straight minutes, and then it kind of gets warm. It's barely lukewarm after that for another 3 minutes. You only have 5 minutes to shower in there. And then after the shower, they just leave you in that cage for hours, and you're standing barefoot on a metal grate floor for hours while you air dry. And by the time they come get you, the soles of your feet are like on fire. So I was really happy that the first shower after getting out was going to be on a regular, like, stainless steel floor. The front of the showers have a cage door, but this is another thing too I thought was really kind of funny, because it has like the center part that's like a privacy thing. It's solid metal, and the top and bottom are like mesh steel. So I thought it was kind of funny, because they literally kept me naked for the past 5 weeks, and now I'm being put into a shower cell with privacy concerns. But anyway, they put me in there, and of course the chains on the floor were really loud. You just don't know what it's like when your feet are chained and it's dragging across a metal floor. It's so loud when it's in a confined space, and so right away it was kind of hurting my ears, because when they closed the door, it's all enclosed. I mean, the shower cell or the shower stall was a little bit larger than like a home one, I think. I don't know. And then they locked me in, and they have this little door that slides open in the privacy area, and she unhandcuffed my hands. She left the belly chain on me, but this is another first, because they never took the punishment restraints off me while I was in prison. So I had to squat down to wash my hair, because my hands are chained to my feet, literally. So when you squat down, you have that extra chain to reach your head. Now I have this huge luxury of having my hands free, and I can actually stand up and wash my hair and the rest of my body parts. And even better, the button for turning it on was in the shower stall. So I pushed the button, and there was about 10 seconds of cold water, but I could put my hand over the shower head to block it from hitting me, and then it got really warm. And I was like, I could have been probably a little bit warmer, to be honest, but it was very warm compared to the showers I had gotten used to taking before that. And it went for, it was about 5 minutes, I think the shower lasted. But the awesome part about this is that I had access to the button. So when the water stopped, I just pushed the button again. And I just kept taking showers until they came and told me I was done. I washed like 3 or 4 times. And just speaking of which, the stain on the soles of my feet is actually from the punishment cells. I have scrubbed my feet so hard. And this is the best that they look at this point. I've taken 2 showers. I took a shower just before making this video, and I scrubbed the soles of my feet, and this stain will not come off. I mean, you have to realize that in the punishment cells, you can't lay on the floor. The floors they're concrete, they're filthy, and they're damp, and if you lay on them, you'll be shivering in seconds. It just sucks all the body heat out of you immediately. So the only way you can actually sleep in those cells is if you sit with your back against the back wall, with your knees to your chest, and the toilet's there either on the left wall or the right wall that's mounted. So you're sitting right in front of the toilet, and the toilet holds up one knee and the wall holds up the other knee, and you have to sleep like that. So I'm sleeping with my ass and my junk on the floor, and the soles of my feet always on the floor. The soles of my feet never leave the floor the entire time I'm there. I tried, because my feet got really sore from doing that, keeping my feet on the cold concrete that whole time. So I tried doing a few things where I would just put my legs out, but again, the floors are cold, and the second my legs touch them, I mean, I was just starting to shiver. It's too cold to do that. So the best way to do it is to keep your footprint on the floor as small as possible. And then the punishment cells, they get warmer after you've been in there for a while, because you're breathing and your body heat is kind of heating the air in there, and there's no ventilation in there. There's like the only air that comes in is under this crack under the cell door. So after a while, the temperature in the cell gets warmer, but the floor never gets warmer. But if you stay in one spot, you can warm that one spot. So after you've been sitting in that one spot for a while, the floor beneath you gets a little bit warmer. And that's the only way to survive in there. Just a heads up if you're ever going to prison. And if you're a voluntary prisoner, you will be put in the punishment cells for at least a week before they move you to the regular cells. So everyone goes through the punishment cells before they get to the regular cells. Luckily, I was in them for a lot longer because I was on standby. So anyway, they finally come and they're like, your shower's done, get out of there. So they unlock the door and they take me out. I'm naked now, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of the privacy shield, because they remove me from the cage naked, wearing the belly chain and the handcuffs hanging on my side, and my ankles were permanently shackled, obviously. And they take me to a cold metal bench. They only have cold metal benches in the prison. There's and cold metal stools. The stool that I sat on when I made my phone calls was bolted to the floor, and it was a cold metal stool. And that's really nice to put your bare ass on. So yeah. Anyway, so now I'm sitting bare-assed again on a freezing cold. It really isn't that cold at the administration building. I mean, compared to the prison, it's like night and day, to be honest. It's nice and warm in the administration building. But anyway, they give me a uniform. First of all, I forgot to mention, before they put me in the shower, obviously they took off my paper uniform, and they actually just ripped it off. She had a little thing in her hand that cut the paper, because you can't rip them normally, but once you get a cut in it, it just rips off. So they literally ripped my paper uniform off before they put me in the shower. But now they were giving me a regular uniform. I was so excited at this point, because I knew the uniform, and I hadn't even seen one since I've been imprisoned. I was in on PPV in a luxury cell for 12 hours, but that guy didn't wear the uniform, so I'm not going to go into detail with that. But anyway, so now they're giving me a long sleeve gray shirt and the leggings, the same ones that I'm wearing now. Actually, these are the ones they put on me. These, not these exact ones, but they're very similar to this. I already had a pair that was sent to me before, and those are the ones I'm wearing here because I took a shower and I didn't want to wear those filthy ones that I had worn the entire trip. But anyway, these are the ones I'm wearing now. The similar to the ones that they gave me there, and I ran into a major problem. The first thing I did is try to put the pants on, and I couldn't get them on. There's no way that they were going to go on. Like I said, these shackles, they fit snug around my ankles, and there's just not enough space to slip them between my bare ankle and the shackle. And I actually got stuck, and I was in a panic for a moment there, because these don't come off. The Facility 5 staff are not even legally allowed to remove these shackles, because they're required to be cut off. And their insurance won't let them do that anymore, apparently. So they're still using the same shackles they've always used, and they're still making them permanent. But now when you're released from prison, your third party has to arrive at the prison and with $1,000 in their pocket. Seriously, $1,000. And they have a list of specialists that do work with metal and stuff, and that person comes in. Your third party has to contract them outside of Facility 5. Facility 5 has nothing to do with it. So if this guy cuts your foot off, they're completely not liable for it. They have to pay that guy $1,000 to cut these shackles off me. So now I'm sitting there with pants halfway through the shackle, and they are so tight on my ankle at this point because it's so cramped. And they get stuck. I mean, I realize that they're not going to go through at this point. And I'm just I'm really getting frustrated, and I say, fuck it, I'm just gonna pull them back out, and they're stuck. I can't get them out. So I'm like, I was panicking, to be honest. I was really worried that they were gonna be stuck like that forever. Because I can't, the shackles don't come off. So anyway, I did finally get them out, and that was a relief. But then I was really sad because I really wanted to wear the leggings, and now because the shackles are so tight around my ankles, there's no way I'm gonna be able to wear leggings from forever. I'm gonna be naked from the waist down for the rest of my imprisonment. I mean, I guess they could give me the paper ones, but I didn't really care for it. I was really kind of upset. And one of the staff girl that was working with me from the moment I got there, she was really sweet. And that's one thing about the difference between the staff people at the administration building and the staff people that I encountered in the punishment cells. Night and day. Like, the staff members at the administration building, most of them are women, and they're very, very sweet. The guards that I dealt with in the punishment cells, most of them were male, and they were all like, they want to beat the shit out of you all the time. I mean, they don't, but they act like they hate you, and they hate their job. They work in a shitty part of the prison, so they're probably just cranky. But anyway, she comes over, and I must have looked like I was about to cry at that point, and she's like, being really nice to me, and she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I can't get these stupid pants on." And she's like, "Oh, well, let me show you how." And I'm just like, show me how? I mean, I've been putting, leggings on with shackled feet for a year at that point. And I'm like, yeah, I know how to put them on. I didn't say that because she was being so nice to me. I didn't want to be rude, but I was always thinking, I was like, yeah, right. This girl that's probably never been shackled in her life is going to show me how to put pants on with shackles. And she showed me a freaking magic trick. I mean, I was like, what? I had to take them off and put them back on like 5 times before I could figure out how it worked. Because it is like magic. You take the leggings, you flip them inside out, and then you tuck one leg into the other, so you have one leg that has both leggings down it. Then you twist the because my shackles are oval. I twist them so that the shorter part is front to back, which makes them really tight front to back. So I have extra space at the side of one side of my ankle. And I tuck the ankle cuff of the leggings down through that slot that's open, and I pull them down. It's still tight. I mean, it's still not the easiest thing to do. I still have to put some strength into it. But I pull them down until the opening to the top of the legging is far enough through that I can put my foot in it and pull it back up. So the problem is the top of the leggings there's so much there that it won't fit through. But the legging part is thinner, so you can put that through that slot and then pull them up. And it's still tight. I found that if I move my shackle up and down as I'm pulling them around my ankles, between the shackle and my ankle, that it helps, but it's still not the easiest thing. I finally get them up over the shackle, and then this is where the magic happens. Now you're wearing the entire legging on one leg, and what you do is you take the outer leg part and you pull it over your shackle and over your foot and down the chain between your feet, and then over your left foot. I was doing this starting with my right foot. If you're left-handed, you probably do it with your left foot, whatever. So now you pull it out, you put it over your left foot. So you have this going over the chain and over your foot and over your other foot and just below the shackle. And then you just pull the top of the leggings around and up your legs, and they're on. It's like, what the hell just happened? It's like you were wearing leggings around one leg, and then all of a sudden they're on both legs like normal. And I was like tripping on that. I could not believe it, how that worked. So I lit up after that. I was like, I wanted to kiss her for showing me how to do that, because I was really depressed at that point, because I thought I would never be able to wear them with the shackles they had on me. And those shackles are going to stay on me for at least 1 year at this point, but more likely 2, because I will be extending my imprisonment when I'm in the regular cells. So they're going to be on me for a very long time, and not being able to wear the leggings would have really been a bad situation for me. So I'm like super happy now wearing the leggings, and I put on the shirt that she gave me. I was so baggy. I mean, it was like 2 sizes too big for me, but I wasn't going to complain. It was really, I mean, it was just a long sleeve shirt. I felt it was really baggy, and that's fine. She takes me from the shower cells and takes me to the holding cells. In the holding cells, there are 3 girls that were obviously being brought in. They were wearing the t-shirt and jeans, and their hands and feet were shackled in the transport restraints, and their feet were filthy and stained black along their footprints because of the footprinting required for your contract when you first come in. So everyone in the holding cells have black footprints because they literally soak their feet in black ink for like half an hour while they're printing all the pages. But anyway, I'm digressing. So she put me on the opposite side of those 3 girls on that one side into the holding cells. Now, holding cells are tiny. They're only 4 foot by 4 foot, and half of that's taken up by the toilet / sink combo. So basically, the door to the cell is actually really skinny. It's only like maybe 18 inches wide. So right from the beginning, you're feeling pretty claustrophobic as they put you in this basically a closet with this really skinny doorway. But once you're in there, it's really not bad. In fact, my girlfriend said that she could have kept me in the holding cells for much longer if she hadn't signed the contracts that they sent her immediately, because they wouldn't move me from the holding cells to the prison until those were signed. To be honest, I wish she would have done that, because I like the holding cells. I mean, they're small, but they're way less claustrophobic than the punishment cells. The punishment cells are literally 4 foot by 8 foot concrete walls, concrete floor, lights on 24 hours a day, no windows. The door doesn't even have a window. The cell door is a solid steel door. You can't even see into the hallway, and that's the problem. I mean, I don't need a lot of extra room in there because I was sitting, at the back of the cell 99% of the time while I was in there anyway. So having that extra 4 feet really wasn't doing me any good. But in the holding cells, you have a view, and it's actually a pretty good view, in my opinion, because I can see 3 girls chained up across the hall from me in their little glass cubicle. Well, it's not glass. The walls are solid, the back wall is solid, the floor is concrete, and the front of the cell is plexiglass, framed in like this blue square tubing, I guess. And so once you're locked in there, you're not just in this really confined space. You can look out to the other cells, and I find it entertaining seeing the other girls, the girls across the hallway. So anyway, I'm in the cell. They lock me in, and it was perfect timing because they were just coming around to take the orders for lunch. This is the other thing I love about the holding cells. There's a lot of other things too, and I'll tell you about that. But they actually take orders for takeout food. They have a kitchen there, but why create a meal for a bunch of people and you only have 4 prisoners at that point, So they generally you get breakfast there that they make, which is really shitty. It's either like mush or scrambled eggs. And then they give you a cold piece of toast, but you do get milk and orange juice for your breakfast. They didn't give us that, and they brought no drinks to the cells when I was in the punishment cell. I had to drink the crappy water from the toilet. Yeah, literally, I'm drinking from the toilet in that cell. I mean, it's the sink part on top of the toilet, but still, it's gross thinking that you're drinking water from a toilet. But anyway, that's the awesome part about this, is because they took our orders. Now, they're not really generous. They take the first 3 prisoners that they go to, which was the girls across the hallway, because I had just barely been put in my cell. They chose the restaurants, because they'll go to 3 restaurants. And then the people after those first 3 prisoners order have to choose food that's at those 3 restaurants they're going to go to. So one of the girls ordered like lasagna, I think. I couldn't hear her, but when they came around, they said, "What do you want?" Hamburgers, Italian, and I chose Italian. So I actually got spaghetti and meatballs, which was super delicious, and a Coke. I am addicted to soda, and I didn't have soda from the moment that I was arrested till the moment I got home last night, and I drank like a 2-liter bottle of soda, which could be one of the reasons I couldn't sleep last night. But anyway, it's awesome. I mean, after 2 months of eating prison food with no soda. I mean, the food at at Facility 5 isn't bad. I mean, as far as prison food goes, I guess I can't compare it to other prisons because I haven't been in any of them, but it was actually not bad food. The aesthetics in your cell while you're eating that food, a completely different scenario. But anyway, so the cell that I'm in is 4 foot by 4 foot. There's a metal toilet / sink combo, just like all the cells in the prison. At the back of the cell, either on the left wall or the right wall, and they pair them up so that they're, the toilets on my side is going to be the toilet on the other side of the other cell, so they're paired up on one wall. Anyway, so there's the toilet, and then they have, again, privacy. It's funny that the administration building is so privacy oriented when I had no privacy in the punishment cells. There's metal, like a little thin metal divider thing in front of the toilet. So when you're taking a shit, the prisoners through the glass part of the front of your cell aren't watching you take a crap, which is nice. And on the other side of that little divider is a little 2 foot long metal bench. They love their metal benches there, and it's mounted to the wall. And then that's it. That's the whole cell. There's a light in there, but they actually turn the light off at night. The light in the hallway stays on, so it's not dark in there, but it's better than the constant 24-hour buzzing fluorescent lights that were locked in cages in the punishment cells. I'll go more in detail on that. I don't want to get too much off a tangent here. So anyway, had lunch, dinner, and then breakfast again, and then lunch again, and then they took me out of that cell. So I was in that cell for about 24 hours. They brought another guy in. He was obviously exiting the prison because he was wearing a uniform as well. And he was coming from a regular cell because I noticed on the right outer side of his foot, he had the branding. That's required for regular prisoners. You have to have this temporary tattoo that has your prisoner ID. And you have to maintain that on the outer side of your right foot. Your left sole has to have the prison ID written on it, so you have to maintain that. But if you ever leave the prison, your cell, the soles of your feet are black because of the stain on the floors, because of the footprint authentication panels and stuff. So you can't really see those normally, and that's fine, but you have to maintain that tattoo on the right side, the outer right side of your foot. And he had one of those. So he was clearly being removed from a regular cell and leaving the prison at that point. The other two girls were clearly involuntary prisoners coming in. And I don't know how long they were in those cells before I arrived, but the front of their cells had footprints all over it. So, and that's normal because when you're laying in those cells, you can't lay flat. So you have two options. Well, three options technically. You can lay on your side, which hurts your arm. Learn that really fast, and it kinks your neck because even with your arm underneath your head, it's still the wrong angle and it hurts your back. So you don't lay on your side, which really bothers me because I like to sleep on my side. So you sleep on your back, and you either sleep with your knees up and your toes pushed against the metal bottom of the door in the front of the cell, that metal tubing, or you just suspend your feet up and put the soles of your feet on the glass. And that's what most people do, because when you're laying in that cell, it becomes more claustrophobic because now you're seeing the ceiling and you realize it feels like you're in this tiny hole. So by stretching your legs out and resting them on the glass, it makes you feel like you're not as cramped in there. So anyway, so footprints are all over the glass. The longer you're in there, the more footprints there are because they put you in there right after they ink your feet. So there's footprints everywhere. They must hate cleaning that glass. Every time they pull us out, they must have to go in there and clean it all up. They probably just hire some janitor guy or something. I don't know. But anyway, they pulled me out of that cell after I'd been in there for about 24 hours. And they took me into the office part. This is where I suppose this is where you would come in if you're if you're a voluntary prisoner because you're not chained up yet, and you come in just wearing a t-shirt, jeans, and flip-flops at that point, which is what's required of voluntary prisoners to come in. So I think they come in through the front like that. They brought me out, and immediately I saw my girlfriend behind the counter. She's at the front of the office on the other side of the counter. And I was like so overjoyed. I thought I was just like, I mean, I could feel my chest like pounding because I was like so happy to see her. I mean, at that point, I felt like a dog being rescued from the pound by its owner, because if I had to tell at that moment, it would have been knocking shit over for sure. I was so excited to see her, and she smiled at me, and I was like, oh my god, she looks so adorable too. She was wearing this like mini dress, I guess you'd call it. It's like a cotton dress. It had little teddy bears on it. And it's like tank top at the top. It hangs down, and it's kind of like a skirt at the bottom. And she was wearing jeans and the white flip flops that I bought her when we first started dating. Because I made her go barefoot everywhere when we were dating originally, and I wanted her to wear the if she had to put them on, like to go into a store or whatever, I wanted them to be white so that she'd leave her footprints on them after going barefoot all the time. So she's wearing those, and to add to the whole thing, she had used the lotion with the sparkles in it. It's, I wouldn't say glitter, but it's just sparkly on her feet. So her feet were like kind of shiny and sparkly. And she went even further. I like sparkly things, and she knows this. She went further, and she had glitter polish on her toes and her fingernails. And she just looked so pretty. I was like so anxious to get out at that point. But they take me over and they chain me to another bench. And I'm like really, really anxious to get out. So I guess at this moment I was kind of bouncing my knee, and they have me chained to a metal plate. They have these metal plates that, you know, I mentioned this before. The floor mounts have the metal plate around them that are bolted down to the floor, and so your chain is on that metal. And as I said, the chain makes a lot of sound when it's against metal, and so I was bouncing my knee like this. I mean, you probably can't hear it, but I was kind of bouncing my knee, and I didn't know I was doing this. It was kind of subconscious, and I was just so excited, and I was watching her and stuff. And apparently that really turned her on, because I was wearing the transport restraints as well at that moment, and they had put them on me before they brought me out. Out into that office area. So I had the high security ankle shackles with a chain coming up to my handcuffs, were also high security, with a bigger lock. And so I'm sitting there and I'm bouncing my leg unconsciously and making the chain sounds. And the chain sounds are been my life for the past year. So I generally just tune them out. So I didn't even notice that I was making sound at that point. But apparently it really turned her on. And it was like distracting her, basically. And what they do with all these contracts is the administration staff have to read off all the important stuff and then ask if you understand, and then you have to initial it. So she was reading all the rules for my parole and my furlough, since I'm under 2 rule books now, and the rules for my transport, because she was going to be transporting me. And so she was going through all of that, and she kept having to ask the girl. I remember this too, because she kept asking the girl, "Can you say that again? I didn't understand." And so she had to read it over and over again, because she was literally like staring at me and being turned on because I was all chained up and I was making the chain sounds. But anyway, she finally all that got finished. I had to footprint those pages while she watched. She was standing at the counterpart that folds up so you can get through, so I could see her whole body, and she looked like a little girl because the counter was kind of high, and I mean the counter was like almost up to her breast. She's really a little stature anyway. She's just a little over 5 foot. So she was watching as they footprinted me, and then leaving footprints on the floor as usual as they took me out. And before that, they told her that she could pick me up in the parking structure downstairs in the lowest level near the service elevator. So they took me back out down the long hallway, and I was so excited at this point because I'm actually getting out, and I'm going to be going home with my girlfriend. We get in the service elevator and go all the way down, and before the doors could even open, because they're kind of slow, my girlfriend like forces them open and rushes in and like starts kissing and hugging me. I'm just like, oh my god, this is awesome. I can't hug her back because my hands are literally handcuffed and chained to my feet, but she's like hugging and kissing me. And the other girl, this is the nice girl that showed me how to do my pants, and she's like laughing at it, and it's like, I think she said something like get a room or something, but I was like, I was just so excited to get out of there. She takes me out into the parking lot and puts me in the car that she rented. And then she takes off her flip-flops and throws them in the trash. To be honest, I didn't notice that part because I was just so happy to actually be sitting on something that was soft and comfortable. I mean, the car seat, like I said earlier, the most minor things that you miss when you're in prison. I mean, I've been sitting on a cold, filthy, damp floor for the past 6 weeks, or the past 5 weeks, and then, well, 6 weeks, because I was sitting on the floor because I didn't want to sit on the bench in the holding cell. But anyway, my point is that after 6 weeks of no comfort, that seat felt really good. So I was just kind of like settling in, and I didn't even notice that she had taken off her flip flops, and I looked up to see her coming back from the garbage can barefoot, she didn't have her flip flops anymore. So she was definitely in the mood, and she wanted to make sure that I was in the mood too, and that is a surefire I mean, that's like a 100% right there. I made her go barefoot like the entire time we were first dating, and now she's gonna be barefoot for the entire trip home, because those were the only shoes she brought, and that's what she told me as soon as she got in the car. But anyway, so we leave there, and again, it's like I hadn't seen sunlight in 6 weeks at this point. There are no windows anywhere in the prison that I saw. So we're pulling out of the parking structure, and it's a beautiful day. It's like the last time I was out there, it was freezing cold. My feet felt like they were frostbitten at that point from being dragged through snow and ice barefoot for 14 days. And it was nice outside, and I was like, holy shit, this must be heaven. I think I died in the punishment cells, and then I'm in heaven now. I mean, I don't believe in heaven. I'm an atheist, but if there is a heaven, it was that moment. I mean, it was just so awesome. I was so excited to get out. And as soon as we got on the road, I was like, 1 minute later, everything went very wrong. Like, total chaos. And I'm going to cut that here. So, cliffhanger. So, tomorrow's video, I will tell you why everything went bad a minute after I'm out of prison. So, again, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, all that fun stuff. And I will see you in tomorrow's video. Thanks.